As an option to cover stitching on the brother, I'm going to show two different techniques. One is tapering your stitch into the point, and one is using the end point sticker on the Luminaire. So we'll show both. So I'm first going to show tapering your stitch. Now I have selected category 3, pattern number 20, and that is the same number stitch on the Stellaire as well. I want to point out two ways to taper your stitch. One is if you go to your settings, if you turn on width control, what you're doing is you're taking this button now, your speed control slider, that now becomes your width control. So if you wanted to taper as you're going slightly, you could taper that down by using the slider here. That will change your width as you go if that is turned on. I'm going to leave it off, and I'm just going to adjust my width in the width window here. Now the default will be the black background, so I'll start with a default of 5. That's going to be fine, and then as I get to my point, I'm just going to gradually reduce my width. So we'll show you how that goes. So that tells me to use the end foot, so I'm lining up the edge of my pennant with the end foot, and I'll start stitching that stitch. So I'm just going to begin stitching, and I'm running the edge of my foot along the edge of the pennant. And as I approach the mark, I marked a 1/2 inch up from the point, then I will start pivoting. I'm going to start tapering. So as I approach this 1/2 inch mark here, I'll just go to my width, and I'm just going to gradually start reducing the width as I approach the point. So it's just going to get a little bit narrower and a little bit narrower, coming right into the point. I might have tapered that a little bit fast. So I'm going to lift my foot and pivot. So you'll see how the point or the stitch started tapering in. So then as I come back up, I'll gradually start tapering it back up until I get to the 5. And then we'll just complete that side. So you can now see how it tapered to a point. I did taper a little bit too quickly on this side, a little bit better coming out of it here. So practice your tapering. If you do need to stitch into a point or corner, you might want to try tapering your stitches. Again, you can use the stitch width, or you could use the slider to taper your widths. And next I'm going to show for Luminaire owners, I'm going to show a technique using your endpoint sticker when I know when I want to stop at a certain point. So for Luminaire owners, I'm going to review your endpoint settings. So in your settings, you can choose your endpoint temporary stop. You can have that on or off. Now I'm going to choose on because I just have this little point here, so I'm going to be putting my endpoint sticker directly on the line that it needs to be. So if I turn it on, what the machine will do is stop as it approaches that line to allow me to remove my sticker. If I have it off, I would have my endpoint sticker to the left, about 1 inch to the left of where my mark needs to be to stop, and the machine will just keep going till it approaches that line. But I'm going to turn it on so that you'll see the machine will stop as it approaches that and then prompt me to remove my sticker. So I'm going to turn that on and press OK. I'm going to select pattern 3 in category 3, number 8. So it's just a nice little kind of a pointed stitch there. And then I'm going to touch the settings in the upper right corner here, and then I'll be able to see my endpoint sticker or my endpoint setting right here. So now I'm going to turn the endpoint on, and then you'll see the little prompt where it tells me that it's going to approach that sticker. And then you'll see on the machine how the projector has now projected a light underneath there. So we'll begin sewing and show you how that's going to stop. So once again, I'm just lining up the edge of my foot with the edge of the pennant, and I'm just going to start sewing. And with that projector on there, it's going to be looking for that endpoint sticker. So I'm just going to sew along, and then you'll see when it gives me that prompt to start slowing down. Oops. Watch what I was doing. You can see the machine slowing down, and now it's stopped. Then on the screen it tells me to remove the sticker and then continue. So we'll come back here, we'll remove the sticker, and then continue sewing. And it stopped directly on the line. So now I'll simply pivot, and then I'll continue back up the other side. So now you can see how the endpoint sticker allowed the stitch to stop directly at the point that we wanted it to stitch. So this is just another example of a feature of the Luminaire using our endpoint sticker.